the atheist hates the notion of God. They don't want the accountability. They don't want the responsibility that goes with believing in God.
So I've mentioned this a few times before, and I have not been convinced that there's any kind of justice or accountability in Christianity, at least not like most versions of Christianity, especially not evangelical, which is what most of these people, most of these apologists are, at least. I've really not found a lot of accountability, justice, or responsibility in most versions of Christianity because there's just an easy out for everything. You can pray to God, ask for forgiveness. You can promise never to do it again. I mean, if we were to employ what most people consider to be true about Christianity as far as like being accountable for your actions and things, we would have very little of a justice system and hardly anybody would get justice. I mean, you would just have to ask for forgiveness and promise to never do it again. And that would be it, because God forgives everybody of everything. And it doesn't matter how many times you violate his holy word with whatever in the fuck you might be doing that day. He'll still forgive you no matter what. This is the typical party line of a lot of apologists out there, especially evangelical apologists, is that no matter what you've done, God will forgive you. And so I really don't see a lot of justice in religion. I see a lot, admittedly not as much as there should be, but there is justice being done like in the real world with our justice system. And our justice system is far more rigid than God's justice system. I mean, pretty much God's justice system is, I'm going to send you to hell if you don't follow what I say. For some versions of Christianity, it's literally just believing in God. Like, it has nothing to do with what your morality is or if you've done morally good or bad things. Like, the morality of your actions isn't really what's factored into God's judgment in some versions of the Christian faith. I say some versions because like there's Catholics who think that you got to use a combination of good works and belief in God in order to get into heaven. And so it really just depends on what version of Christianity you're talking about. Most of the time with evangelicals, though, it seems like just belief in Jesus is the way to get to heaven, or at least that's how it's portrayed to me. So let's see where Barak Lurie goes with this.
Lurie, and thanks for watching the Barak Lurie Show. Stephen Hawking, the late famous scientist, noted that heaven is a fairy tale for people afraid of the dark. In response, noted theologian John Lennox said that atheism is a fairy tale for people afraid of the light. That sounds exactly on point. Now, why do I say this?
Right here. Atheism is a fairy tale for people afraid of the light. First of all, atheism isn't a fairy tale. It can't be a fairy tale because atheism is just a single position on whether or not you believe in God. So it's totally subjective to the person because it's just about whether or not you believe in God. It's not about some absolute truth as to whether or not God exists. So atheism can't be a fairy tale, and we're definitely not afraid of the light, whatever the fuck that would mean. So John Lennox here seems to be mistaken about what atheism even is, and I don't know what it means to be afraid of the light, because I'm obviously not afraid of the light. I have 3 light sources on me right now. I know that's not what he means. I'm not afraid of God. Even as I feel like as a Christian, you're taught to be afraid of God, aren't you? The reason why, putting the fear of God in people is a phrase is because the Bible teaches that fearing God is the way to wisdom. So why are you portraying it as a bad thing now there, John Lennox? I thought that fearing God was like one of the only pieces of wisdom that we can have according to the Bible. So it kind of seems like he's cherry picking when it's okay to be afraid of God. Like atheists are afraid of God. Well, fuck, you are too. Where's the difference? I'm not seeing any.
Exactly on point. Now, why do I say this? Why do I say it with such conviction? Because it is about light. See, we're not afraid of the dark. We embrace the light. But the atheist, he fears the light. And this particular light is so bright and so challenging for him, because if he were to see the light, he would understand that it's about responsibility.
It's about responsibility? Where the fuck are you getting that from? I don't see responsibility in the Bible. Do you see responsibility in the Bible? No? I don't see it in the Bible. Does anybody here see anywhere where it says, thou shalt claim responsibility for the shitty shit that you do? I don't see that anywhere in the Bible. In fact, what I see is that people should be afraid of God, of this light. And also, you're talking about the light being so bright that you're afraid of it? Yeah. If there was a bright light coming my direction, I would probably be afraid of it because it's either a train or a car or some kind of large object that'll definitely flatten my ass. As far as the portrayal of atheists and us being more analytically or scientifically minded, I feel like we run towards that particular light. Like we run towards illuminating things that we don't know about our reality. What the light that he's talking about here, of course, is God's light. And the only thing that God cares about, as far as the Bible goes, because he's a Christian, as far as the Bible goes, the only thing that God cares about is whether or not you believe in him. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of God sending me to hell. If I die and I find out there is a God and it is Yahweh, then I will happily burn in hell with Satan or be tortured by Satan or something, because I would rather do that than spend any kind of time with God, the Yahweh God at least. I still don't understand why it's a bad thing that we are quote unquote afraid of the light. It seems like, Christians are also afraid of the light. You may embrace the light. You may embrace the fear. I don't know anybody else that would embrace the fear of it. I don't know. It's totally confusing, this little bait and switch that they're pulling here.